So this is Andrew picking, and this is a recap of what I think was an awesome 2023 for Man Beast Strongman events and all the crew that helped out, kicking off with Yorkshire's Strongest Man, obviously, which took place in July, possibly the wettest show we have done, if you remember that. Midsummer, expected it to be a glorious day. Held that at Doncaster Lakeside Retail Village as well, which is a new home for it, and we're hoping that for the next couple of years we're going to secure it there, but we'll see with the show. But I think they were really pleased with it. We had a bumper turnout as well, absolutely fantastic, and all the competitors in that endured a really difficult competition due to the weather. It just did not stop all day. I think we had probably an hour's window where it dried up, and Paul Smith refereeing. We had to change some of the events, and logs were difficult as well on that. We had Scott Moore that won the Opens on that. We had Aidan Barker that won the under 105s, and in the novices, Scott Fisher. So absolutely great event. Big shout out to the crew that helped out there on the day. Big shout out to all the competitors as well. Didn't moan, just got on with it. And it was difficult, you know, in the deadlift, in the van was slippery. Everything was slippery. The sandbags got heavier, no doubt about it, which kept them as dry as possible. But every time they were dropped, they'd absorb a ton of water, and it just made it difficult. But the crowd we got down for Yorkshire's Strongest Man, I was so pleased with, because me and Mark rocked up there at 6 o'clock in the morning. We were there the night before as well, setting up, and it was tipping it down. And I just thought we're probably going to get 20 people at best. Well, Doncaster proved us wrong, because they turned out in numbers. The atmosphere I thought was absolutely fantastic as well. There were so many people that stayed there all day to watch the whole event. So it was a really successful competition, and that's been held in Rotherham for the past six years now. So moving it into Doncaster was a bit of a risk, but worked really well. And Lakeside were fantastic for us in terms of storing the equipment. We were there the week before. A massive shout out to Vikings and Andrew Lumley and Stephen Speakman as well, sorting out, because they gave us a lot of equipment, really helped us out as well. And a big shout out to Ziggy's Gym as well, who loaned us their deadlift frame, which we got over there. So that's how we kicked off the season in 2023. We did get SBD on board as well, so a big shout out there for Will Islip and his team. Went out to see them at their headquarters. He's the commercial director there that wants to get him more involved in sort of the grassroots type stuff. Really like what Man Beast do as well, because we don't just put on competitions, but we try and profile all the athletes as much as we can as well. We have a really good following on Facebook, 37,000 followers on that page with 38,000 subscribers on YouTube. So for a really small business, and that's what it is, it's a really small organization. Man Beast is 2 people basically who do it. That's myself and Mark Anglesey, and then we bring in the crew for the competitions to help us out. We couldn't possibly just do it ourselves, but all the background information, all the dealing with clients, all the PR, the newspapers. We've had coverage off the newspapers. We had radio as well. This year we had TV coverage as well this year, so we do a ton of that, and that takes a lot of time. You know, so it's been really good to have SBD involved as well. You know, they're World's Strongest Man. They got involved in Yorkshire's Strongest Man. They gave all the kits to the winners with that, and hopefully we can establish you know, a longer term relationship with SBD, especially around some of the social value work we do around some of the Olympic junior weightlifting that we've been involved with a little bit. We sponsor a football team ourselves out in Lincolnshire as well, and we go out and sometimes do school assemblies and stuff like that. So you know, we have a lot of community initiatives as well around Man Beast that all helps the brand, and it also helps all the athletes in terms of boosting their profile. So we kicked off with Yorkshire's Strongest Man, absolutely brilliant. Then we went into the big one, which was of course the Peak District Highland Games. Pretty wet as well at the beginning of that. Bank holiday weekend, August, expect a nice day. You never know what Matlock, though. It's up on top of a dale there, looking over the town of Matlock in Derbyshire. It's really high up. It tends to you know, get some very changeable weather up there, but it did dry out in the afternoon. Started out with a really good crowd. Again, we always get a good crowd out there. It's got to be his biggest show. There's probably no doubt about that. I think Yorkshire's Strongest Man pushed it a little bit. Obviously, there weren't as many there because it's not a purpose-built arena, but the atmosphere at Yorkshire's was brilliant. But again, Peak District Highland Games never disappoints. Of course, we had Laura Hollywood, a new entrant there. We try and put new entrants into it all the time, open up a few spaces and just make it competitive. She won the strong woman contest at Peak District Highland Games. She was fantastic as well. So she was amazing on that stone carry. And it was absolutely amazing to see Matt Cole in front of all his family as well, his parents and his young family. up there supporting him take the win, because in his first appearance at Peak District he came third. And this time he took the win, and it was a well-deserved win on a difficult day in difficult weather conditions as well. So well done, Matt. There, that was absolutely great. I think it'll be in its 8th or 9th year next year. So it's nearly up to a decade. I think we have to do something big for its decade if we get that far with it. Then we move on to the week after. It's always busy at this time of year for us. Straight on to Rotherham's Strongest Man. So Manimal ran that on the Saturday. They had the Hercules Holding. I thought that looked fantastic, to be honest, on the day. We ran Rotherham Highland Games on the Sunday. So for a lot of athletes that had not done the Highland Games before, and all the new guys on there that came on said it were absolutely brilliant. They really enjoyed it. It's a bit of fun as well. Of course, it's competitive, but we've got a good crowd up there. You know, it's funny as Rotherham because it's part of a bigger show with the whole park. There's so much stuff on. I think last year I felt it were a little bit flat in terms of the crowd. The year before were massive with a really good crowd. They moved us around the park a few times as well. But this year, really good crowd there. And the Stone Run by Stevie Speakman, knew we were going to do well on that. There was loads of people watching that, and they were all supporting him, and he was showboating at the end of it. A lot of the crowd stayed for most of the competition, died off a little bit at the end when we were presenting the trophies, but still a decent amount there. But certainly in the Stone Run and the Caber Toss, we had a great crowd there, and they were really getting involved with it. We had drone footage as well from over above, which were brilliant as well. Got some really good pictures there. And Terry Harrison took the win there. So 6'7", came 4th in the Peak District Highland Games the week before. Glad he competed, came into Rotherham and won it. You know, and I hope Terry continues to compete in some of our island games, because he's only done it twice, and to me it really suits the events as well. So that is that's a really interesting competitor to watch. I think if he does continue and he's consistent and enters competitions next year with us, I think he could be a real contender. Just missed out on the podium at Peak District Highland Games. Then in between that, we've done a couple of corporate events as well. So we did truck pulling in Huddersfield for a client out there, a construction client, as part of one of their employee days. We had Sam Ashton out there. And we had the world's strongest joiner, as it calls it, from Manchester. So we dubbed it as Manchester versus Yorkshire. They pulled a truck. Paul Smith came out there, refereed, officiated it for us. Those are two 18-ton Keltbury SRS trucks, which they use on the railways. They're really heavy, big, massive winch on the front, big sort of rail wheels on the vehicle, as well as tyres. Really difficult. And we did that at John Smith Stadium. At Huddersfield. That were a really good event. So we've done a couple of things outside the competitions as well. Then we moved on and we got a request from one of our clients that we've worked with before to do a show in Essex. So we partnered up with Mission to Condition, Matt Cole there, Paul Wood as well, who were excellent on the weekend, and they put on a really, really good competition in collaboration with us. So I went down there, worked with them over that weekend. We all stayed over and we did a strong woman competition and a strongman competition for the first time at Highlands Park. Credit to all the athletes, women and men there. They did great. The weather held off as well, because it was forecast on the Sunday to be a terrible day. Actually held off for us, and we had some really difficult events in there. The Celtic Cross were brutal, that Matt Cole brought over as one of the events. That was a brutal one. And we did a Dinny Stone replica with plates as well, which was difficult. Farmers walking there. So we did all sorts of good stuff. So that was a really good show. A lot of work to put that one together, and a big shout out there to Paul Wood and Matt Cole, because they really helped us out again in terms of turning that around for us and putting on a really good day for the client as well, and the competitors, which is what it's about. Cash prizes on that as well for the winner. And then obviously we did the bus pull, which the bus pull is one of those competitions to me that doesn't bring a lot of money in, because we do bring money in so that we can do the things that we do in terms of supplying t-shirts, cash prize money as well, websites, or insurances, equipment, all that sort of stuff. It takes a lot to run these shows. It probably we break even on that, to be honest. But the real good thing about that show that I like is we had a Guinness World Record attempt on there. We had the mayor down there. We had ITV Calendar that filmed it, and he went on national news as well. And every time I put the bus pull on, big shout out to all the crew there at South Yorkshire Transport Museum. Phil Morton especially been brilliant with all the vehicles. You get to pull some really unique vehicles about. It's inside if it rains, so it's dry. It's in a museum, so it's just a bizarre venue to use. So I like it. It's quirky, it's something different. Get athletes coming from up and down the country, as well as local athletes as well on that as well. And every time I run it, they always say, when's the next one? When's the next one? Everybody seems to love that one. So I can't see why we wouldn't put it on next year. So I'm speaking to the museum at the moment, and we're seeing if they're up for doing it again. If not, then I might look at another venue in the region to run a bus or truck pull competition, simply because it's popular. Now we do have the one in July as well that Dave Johnson runs. He does a great job over there at Flying Higher, which is over in Lincoln, truck pull championship. I think Terry Harrison won that as well, actually. So he's won 2 competitions that we've been involved with. Dave Johnson does the majority of the work in terms of all the planning on that, and all the charities. Does some fantastic stuff over there in terms of raising money for mental health, cancer, and in memory of people, friends, etc. So he does a great job. So we did have links to truck pulls on that. He's on again next year as well, so we'll be involved in that. But I think the bus pull thing will always have to sort of to finish the season off and end of October. I don't envisage any more competitions over Christmas. I mean, sometimes with clients we get asked last minute, can you do a show? Can you go to a shopping centre and put a demo on? And sometimes we take that on. It all depends. I mean, with Man Beast, we all work full time. In the week, I work full time in the week as well. So Man Beast is just a weekend, event sideline, if you like. It takes a lot of time to do these things. So when you're shifting equipment out in the week, doing all the health and safety procurement documents and everything else that big clients need, because that's what they need. I end up doing that on evenings, same as Mark. He has to give up his time on weekends and evenings and everything else to do it. So, sometimes when you get these requests, you've got to look at it pragmatically and think, can we actually turn that round? And that's the problem for us. But we'll certainly stick, I think, to 5 shows next year again. We'll concentrate on probably building them up. I see loads of potential with Yorkshire's Strongest Man meet. I think we can do great at that. And it was great to have people like Ben from over Hull's Strongest involved. So we gave the winner of Hull's Strongest automatic qualifier into Yorkshire's Strongest Man. So Roslovin opens, and I think at Raiden Barker under 105s, and we also had a novice second place. I think it's the first place was on holiday for that we gave a place to as well. And I think strengthening ties with local gyms and other local competitions, city type competitions, and then giving them a qualifying spot into Yorkshire's, I think that's a really good progression route for people. I think the more we can build Yorkshire's Strongest Man up, so it's more of a flagship regional event, then it'd be great if we could have sort of Leeds, Sheffield, Hull, Bradford, Wakefield, if there's any similar strongman competitions there, to give the winners of those competitions a spot in Yorkshire, so there's a pathway into it, because I think it lacks that now. I'd like to see that in the future. But so plans for next year, 5 big shows. I reckon we will do a couple of corporate client stuff. I think the social value stuff, community stuff's really important. So we'll do that where we can, and take some of the athletes with us, I think, and do some of those events when we can. I think establishing a relationship with a sponsor. So if there's any sponsors out there that are listening to this, I will put a sponsor video together for next year. I think that's really important as well, because we stand up a lot of Man Beast ourselves with his own funds. That's the way it is. Some of the bigger shows we can bring some funding in, so we put that into savings to subsidise the shows that don't make a lot of money, because sometimes they don't, but actually the really good shows are that they give us a lot of publicity. So I think we're really good at what we do and stuff like that. So 2023 has been a really good year for us. I think it's been challenging. There ain't no doubt about that. There's a lot of work that goes into these. I keep saying it, but it is. I think you'll be passionate about it. Me and Matt, generally love it. There's moments where we might not. I don't know, it's like anything really, isn't it? But generally we're passionate about it. That's what keeps us driving forward with Man Beast now. That will be in its 10th year next year as well. I think we started in 2014 with Yorkshire's Strongest Man at Frickley Athletic, so we'll be on our anniversary there, 10 years. I think we started out as Super Strongman. That's a little story for us. Started out as Super Strongman, branded ourselves as that. We got challenged actually by a Swedish Super Strongman company that have that challenge. So through the intellectual property office, we got a legal challenge. We had to stand that name down, otherwise we were going to be taken through to court. I don't know why. I mean, it's 2 people that live in Yorkshire that, it's not a multi-million-pound business by any stretch of the imagination. So we're never going to be a threat to an international super strongman competition. But I get it. You've got to protect your brand and stuff. So we stood that down straight away. There was no follow-up from that. We started with Man Beast. And the logo behind me and everything else, and we've kept with Man Beast. We've actually got that through intellectual property officers sell, so it's trademarked Man Beast. So we trademarked to operate shows underneath it. We trademarked to produce and sell promotional literature and we trademarked to do corporate services to businesses, seminars, things like that. We're also trademarked for t-shirts and anything to do with Manby. So we've actually protected that ourselves. That costs quite a bit of money legally to get that sorted, but we did that in 2016. So yeah, it's just 10. So we might try and do some, if we've got time, try and do something a little bit special to celebrate 10 years. But yeah, that's it. 2023 been a great season. Thank you to all the fans. Thank you to everybody on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram that follows us, comments on our posts, shares them, comes down to the competitions as well. All the crew, volunteers, the gyms that have helped us out in 2023. It's been fantastic. So we'll sign that off. Have a great Christmas, and hopefully Man Beast will be back live with some more shows coming into 2024.